All right. We there? Okay. So today, I think that you've been aware of my recent presentations. One of them involving Pennsylvania Railroad signaling, the other one being the Pennsylvania Railroad mainline towers. There's one additional presentation that I gave about 2014 that I put together that I call Over the Top, Riding Amtrak Over America's Greatest Grades. And I gave it to my local NRHS chapter, and it was before I was doing live streaming, so there's no recording of it. So I'm just going to go through the presentation. I have some notes here. It's the same type before. It's more of a slideshow. Please let me know if any part of the pictures are being cut off. I'm not going to full screen them because I'm using my screen capture isn't full screen for a variety of reasons. I've got some water here. Anyway, I believe this talk was put together in 2014, and it was after I had gone through the full gamut of Amtrak's mountainous routes. And this includes I guess this I'll say in order of appearance. I think order of appearance. The Empire Builder route over both the Cascade Tunnel and the whatever the High Line is. What is it? The Montana Pass. Yeah. Yes. No. Wait. No. Stevens Pass. Yeah, that's the one. Then it's the California Zephyr over the Donner Pass and the Moffatt Tunnel route. Then the Southwest Chief over. I go a little bit over the Glorietta, but mainly over the Raton Pass. And then coming up the East Coast, the Chesapeake and Ohio Allegheny Summit, the Baltimore and Ohio Allegheny Summit, and the Pennsylvania Railroad, Gallitzin, and Horseshoe Curve. So, anyway, just want to just let you know what's going on there, and we will get going. So again, let me know if this. I also have a couple of video clips. I think that you can hear what I can hear on my computer. So just again, let me know if you can't. Those are kind of just a minor part of it. Hopefully, I'll be able to get this done in under 2 hours. I forget how long it took the last time. So, okay, you heard me talk about it. I was on the management screen. So this is just a picture of Amtrak Train 6 here at Frasier Park. I probably should have gone over it with this in the background. So, anyway, I guess we're gonna. Like I said, we're going to. Where am I beginning again? Okay. So first off, we're talking about the Cascade Tunnel route. I can actually, when I was doing this for my NRHS group, I didn't have internet in the location, so I sort of had to take screenshots. But the Cascade Tunnel route, former Great Northern, here you can see you sort of have to go north to Everett, and then the route in question is right there. Here is your terrain map of where it sort of follows Route 2, how it's going to get through there. And right in the middle of it is what is called the new Cascade Tunnel. Here it is, just sort of a more up-to-date Microsoft Terrain screenshot. We're starting at the town of Skykomish and heading over to what's that thing? What's the name of the town? I forget where I cut it off. Somewhere like in Kashmir, probably Leavenworth. So. Oh, I guess they have more of it. So there's your Cascade Tunnel, and then it comes down this valley shared with U.S. Route 2. There's one additional long tunnel under there. Here's your grade profile. Ruling grades, I'm not sure if I would say the ruling grade, but your maximum grades are in the 2.2%, both east and westbound. And you can see where you sort of take, it's about maybe you have like a 0.5%. So up to Skykomish, you're going to be at about 1,000-foot elevation. And when you head to the tunnel, here is its scenic. and that tunnel is on an upgrade. So in the case of the tunnel, you're going to be leveling out at about 2,600 feet. And surprisingly, that is not much more than you get in the east. So there's a lot of these western grade, at least specifically this one through the Cascades. It might feel like you're going, you're doing big western railroading there, but you're pretty much on an East Coast style mountain grade with comparable East Coast grades too. These are from the BNSF employee timetable. So, like I said, here's we have the station at Sky Commission. This is where actually these were all very timetable and train ordery type lines. This is one of the places where you would actually have some degree of interlocking tower. I think I was reading up on it. There would have been an 8-lever USNS table machine in there that would just cover the sidings and the other stuff. This is where helpers would be attached. And during the electrification era, this is the western end of where the electrification was. The electrification was used up until the 1950s when diesel attraction was able to take over, and they put that the door in. This is a snow district, but it's not quite as a snow district as the Donner Pass. So you do see that they do have one little bit of like a Jordan type of spreader plow, but nothing crazy like you get at Donner. Passenger speeds on this are not on this line. While it's a concrete tied, you're not moving very quickly. As you can see here, passenger 30, freight 25. The line is very well built, though. Here there are a number of steel trestles on it. This is the Foss River, and this is I mentioned that this is on the part that's this Cascade Horseshoe Curve, but due to the heavy presence of trees, you're not going to be able to see. That's why the Altoona Horseshoe Curve is the name brand Horseshoe Curve. There's the Foss River trestle. Because the high degree of trees in this area, you can't really get a lot of good railfan views there, and it's also only a single track. Again, additional BNSF is, or what used to be the Great Northern, whatever BNSF does. They're very nice that they put mileposts to the 10th at the end of each of their bridges. Anything significant, which is really good when I'm doing these pictures. When I needed, I label them by milepost, which is helpful. The signaling at the time, looks like they're going to be putting in, although the signals that there were nothing super special to write home of. Hooded safe trans before PTC stuff. Again, they could just get away with a little bitty relay cabinet on these little short dwarf masts, but you can see that they're already getting around. The issue with one of the things that that the lobbyists for PTC kept insisting about was that, oh no, it's an overlay, it won't cost any money. The truth of the matter of fact is, if you have to touch the signal system, the biggest cost is your testing. So you might as well replace it at that point. It costs just as much to put in new. Practically, the hardware is almost a rounding error on doing the testing and the commissioning. Here we have a slide fence. It's not going to stop anything, but it's definitely going to detect it. This was probably built sometime new. We can see here with the heavy I-beams. Not sure which one, number 10. I have notes for a lot of this stuff. This is just this is a bridge over Alpine Creek. Nice cuts here. But you don't have a lot of views because of the Pacific Northwest. It's almost a temperate rainforest going on. This is Deception Creek. All right, here we are in Scenic. There's a siding. As you're getting ready to go through the, whatchamacallit? This Cascade Tunnel. It's the longest tunnel in the United States. I think there's a longer one in Canada, but I'm not entirely sure. 8 miles, so that's pretty much the length between sidings. So you're going to have a siding at both ends of the tunnel. So this is your last little bit before you head into it. Here we are coming out at East Scenic. There's both a signal here you got for the siding, but also an entrance signal, an absolute entrance signal to enter the 8 mile long tunnel block. And here we are entering the Cascade Tunnel. Notice it's been notched for double stacks. The Cascade Tunnel is currently the limiting factor on this BNSF Northern Transcon. Not only the fact that you have 8 miles, but there's a ventilation requirement, and that's ultimately what limits the number of trains they can stuff through the line. Here's the famous view coming out the end of the Cascade Tunnel with the original. That's a GRS D type, I believe, modular railroads, modular color light signal, as opposed to those newer safe train ones. It is labeled. Oh, sorry, it's not 8 miles. 7.8 miles, 41,000 feet, elevation 228.81. This I believe is the summit. Completed in 1929, and like I said, it was electrified initially. In the 1950s, they built this fan plant. It does use a pressure door. I did not look up what the procedure is, but just like with my, sometimes they suck, sometimes they blow. I forget which one this one does. I think it blows out. Moffatt sucks forward. But this one will push against the train as it heads in. Then the door opens, the train comes out, and then it will run the fans for about 20 minutes to push out the exhaust. When a train is going the other way, the fans are off, and then when the train fully exits the tunnel, it will close the door and then vent it for, again, it takes about 20 minutes to vent. That ventilation period is what sets your capacity. It's like 30-something trains a day. It's kind of way less than you think it would be. Here we are. Here's the other siding, not exactly at the tunnel mouth, but a little bit farther down. At the time, the biggest thing that you saw on this were Boeing 737 fuselages. And capacity on this line was causing a major issue for Boeing to try to get all the, at the time, they were running nonstop, making something like 30 to 40 737-800s a month. With the moving, I think that the 8 Maxes still use aluminum fuselages. So they're made in Kansas at Spirit Aerosystems, and then they were or still are then railed to Seattle for final assembly. Yep, just coming down, we do have a few remaining Great Northern signal bridges there. Now notice immediately how that the Cascade Range creates this rain shadow. So already you can see the reduced amount of both vegetation and tree height. Notice if you saw that tunnel, it was tunnel number 15. There's a number of other, especially where they're building more. So this is 14.7. If they have had to put in extra tunnels, this is the Gaynor Tunnel. Right over this. Hold on here. I lost my notes. Sorry. This is the Nasson Creek. It's a 600-foot bridge. I think it's either. I think it has to be 600 foot long. It doesn't look to be 600 foot in the air. And more than Nasson Creek. I think that it's actually going. We're looking in the upstream. We looking upstream, or I don't know. We're going upstream. There's some weird stuff in here. And finally, here we are at Merritt. This is another one of the side. I'm not sure. Hold on here. At some point, I mentioned where the Merritt is the end of the 2.2% grade. So this is where you can see that they have a Y track. Again, this is a place that helpers could be attached back when you still had manned helpers. This is the Wenatchee River. This is what you follow. This is the river that we're following all the way to get to the Columbia Valley. That will then take us to what is that town in western Washington? Spokane. The Chunstick Tunnel. This is the other long tunnel on the route. And I think that's where I'm ending things up here. Oh, no, sorry, we can keep going to Leavenworth. Is sort of the end of the grade thing. For about 40 or 50 miles from where we started in Skykomish. All right, so the next one is the what do you call it? I think it's the Stevens Pass. I think that's the name. This sort of starts unofficially at Whitefish, which is the big western Montana resort area. There's a number of stations here that the builder goes on. You can see the crowds here, that this is quite a busy, especially in the summer months. You got your big Great Northern area. The Great Northern definitely developed this as a resort destination. Here we have the grade really starts at Essex, where there's again an old helper base, moving all the way up here along again right along US 2. The Stevens Pass is the lowest pass over the Continental Divide, north of the Sunset Route. It's also the only crossing of the divide north of the high crossing of the divide that does not in a tunnel, or at least on an Amtrak. So there's the balloon track again for helper services that probably aren't really run anymore. The pass is sort of there. It's a little anticlimactic. Then you come back down the other side. This one, as you can see, BNSF, the Northern Transcon, BNSF loves this route because of the easy grades. Cascade's a little hard, but as you can see, the grades max out about 1.8%. That's the same as you get on the Horseshoe Curve. So while it's steep, but it's not as steep as some of them you're going to get. The maximum elevation is about 5,200 feet at the summit, which again is Denver. So this is a very, very low pass to be able to cross the Rockies. On the other side, you're effectively you start going down from Denver pretty quick. So here we are at Essex. This runs right along the southern end of Glacier National Park. This is the Essex Station. I think that this one splits time. Some parts of the year it's open. Other parts of the year there's a different station that's open. It's like a winter station, and then the other one's the summer. I don't think we stopped here today. The really neat part on this one are the snow sheds. There are at least 12 of them. And again, while it's just like in the Cascades, all the moisture is coming out on the western sides of the mountain. Where are we? 41. So this is the Ship Creek Viaduct. And this another nice part of this. This is two main track all the way up and over on the western side. So this is pretty heavy duty. I mean, it's mainly two main track. This is some single line sections. Here's the Java Creek Viaduct. This one's a pretty tall one. There's your picture of the Java Creek below. Snowshed number 10. I'm not sure if this was a single track bridge or there's a second bridge somewhere else. And if you're wondering where this bit is, yeah, there's Spokane. You're way up there. So there's where are we? There's Whitefish. If we go to the rail map, there's your that's where Essex and such is. Sorry. The snow. I'm trying to figure out where those snow sheds are. All right. Hold on. Sorry to. There's Essex. Okay. Yeah, so I guess there is a single track segment in there. All right, sorry, just checking that out. Oh, yeah, that's the Java Creek Bridge. So it looks like they do have at least one single track segment over that one bridge. All right, there we go. Sorry. Snowshed 11. These are pretty heavy duty too. There are timber, but there is concrete shoring on at least one side. Yeah, just some really beautiful views here. Snowshed number 7. Here we have sheds 4. That's 4. I think we're in 3. So a couple of them are very close together. This is the old snow. Oh, so this is 4. That might be 5. So this is the old Snowshed 3. Because trees have grown up north of it, upwards of it, they don't need a shed here anymore. But you can see how where there's slide activity, that's where they put the snow sheds for avalanche protection. One of the tracks is closed for maintenance. Also here we have evidence of a tunnel elimination project. I'm not sure when that took place, but I think it had been done some time ago. Hold on one second. A black tail is just a dump track if anyone starts having any hot box problems. Again, here we see the Great Northern vintage signals with the grade markers, the D-type non-hooded signals. These again were looking like they're there was the little flags in the ground indicating that they were starting to gear up for a resignaling issue for PTC. And so there are some of the replaced signals with a radio base here at Martin. So this is where the balloon track is. By balloon track, that's typically used for helper districts. There it is. So I'm not sure if it'd be for trains going east or west, but you'd have something like a hand throw crossover, which would have been somewhere in there. And that would allow helpers to cut off and then run around and change ends. It's specifically useful for steam locomotives. Yeah, I'm not sure why you'd even need that for a diesel, but definitely in the steam days, it would be helpful. And here's the money shot. I said it's kind of anticlimactic, but this is the Stevens. What is it? I think it's the Stevens Pass. Let's see if I'm right here. Oh, it's the Marias Pass, not Stevens. I keep getting that wrong. Yeah, so you're going over. You don't get the cool drama of a tunnel, but at least you can get out and see it. The legend goes that this was the guy who was doing the Great Northern Railroad ran into some local knowledge, either Native American or otherwise, that led him up this remarkably low-grade, low-altitude crossing of the Continental Divide. BNSF is nice enough to have put up this sign to at least let you know. Montana Division, Continental Divide, elevation 5215, Summit, Montana. And here we have the U.S. Route 2 crossing. There's an obelisk and some stuff up there as well. Marias Pass, and you have the elevation there on the road. So this is definitely one of the neater ones. This used to get a lot of play. I think it's still there. This is the end of the second main track and the very well-known signals at Summit. It's a cantilever mast with USNS either R or P or whatever type, N type, color lights. Looks like there's some birds prey making a nest on it, and it's got this big old stair step to deal with winter conditions. And it's interesting how the western approach gets the second main track, and then from here all the way across the plains, it's a single track with passing sidings. Looks like that cantilever is still there. This photos would have been taken in 2011. Here we go, Summit, Montana. But when does we know if that the D-type signal there has been replaced? I mean, I can sort of go over here and check it out. It's one of those little bonus things you get, even at the expense of a little extra time. Oh, nice. It's still the original D-types, so they haven't... Oh, wait, no wonder. This Street View is from 2011. So I guess I'm not going to know. But at least the eastbound signals appear to be unmodified. And unlike a lot of the other ones where it's east or west, Summit is its own independent interlocking because it's not the end of a siding, it's the end of a double track segment. Just beautiful things of Glacier Park here at Bison. Again, if you're wondering there's Glacier Park right there, although not a lot of glaciers left these days. And the railroad, I think it's inside the park boundaries. It's hard to tell on Google Maps, though. And there's your terrain, so you get to go along that beautiful ridgeline there. Yep. Again, these were taken in July, I believe, and there's still plenty of snow and glaciers up there in July 2011. Best view in the train is definitely out the back. This is interesting. You had wind protection on some of these bridges to prevent trains from getting blown off. Let me verify that's what that is. This is the Two Medicine River Bridge, I believe. Oh, no. Yeah, that's a windscreen. And here we are at the Glacier Park Station. This is where you would actually... Look, they got the cool, like, old checker cab type thing there for the Glacier Park stuff. Yeah, this is where... This is, again, I think that they close this in the winter and they stop at Essex. And again, this is the... Which one is this one? 7. Yeah, I think this is the Two Medicine River Bridge. So I know this is the Continental Divide. It's flowing toward the Mississippi. Again, you can see the stuff they're getting out. They're getting ready for a resignaling project here. Man, this passing the grain train on the siding. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the grade there at Glacier Park and Two Medicine River Bridge. So the next bit, heading back west, sort of a zigzag pattern here, and what is probably the most dramatic is definitely the former Central Pacific, then Southern Pacific overland route over the Donner Pass, rising from effectively sea level at Sacramento to an altitude of 7,000 feet. And it was constructed in the 1860s by hand, which is just amazing. The first evidence you see of the Donner Pass's unique conditions is at Roseville Yard, where there's a whole fleet of ice duty equipped Union Pacific Jeeps. You can see this little pantograph thing is actually an icebreaker that breaks icicles in the tops of tunnels. Also, you have reinforced windows with enhanced visibility and what do you call it? Awnings to prevent the ice from getting down onto the platform. Another major Donner Pass is the only North American use. Well, no, that's not true. There's some in Canada, maybe on the plains. I'm not sure where, but this is the main use you see of rotary plows. With at least 2 or 3 sets operating out of Roseville Yard. Here again, these photos are taken in June. They seem to be powered by our former B unit to handle all the. They also use a lot of steam to keep the windows clear. I'll discuss rotary plow usage a little later, but you gotta before you even hit the grade, you're seeing evidence of it. Oh, I should actually go and see what people are saying in the chat as I stop between these. Oh, they're right. Snow equipment on the balloon tracks. There you go. Now you're right. The main grade is going to be located between what is it? Switch 9. It's sort of when you're going over the Donner Pass. You're coming up from, what's that damn town? It's that last station before you get there. Not Auburn. There's another stop. Colfax. That's the one. As you come up Colfax, you start hitting you start with the balloon track, and then you go over the Donner Pass, and you come back down the other side to Truckee. Although there's definitely grades, because you got to go from 0 to 7,000 feet here. I'm going to just cover this sort of top of the mountain part, as you see here. So there's your snow fighting balloon track. Yeah. Here's your main thing where it parallels I-80. This is where your major your snow issues are that can cause cannibalism. Underneath the new whatchamacallit, at some point, wait, we're missing a bit. I think I do this in two parts. So, anyway, here we are. This just shows you your grade. So remember the last one where you were looking at like 1.8 over the Marias Pass and like maybe 2.2. I guess this one isn't. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, so this one's about as bad as the Cascade, but a lot more of it. 2.4 seems to be the steepest one on the for eastbound trains. But unlike the Cascade Tunnel, you don't come back down to a reasonable elevation. You're sort of staying in high desert at 4,200 feet. 7,000 feet for a mainline railroad is one of the top, like, 5 in the world. People forget that the Alps, all those famous Alp crossings, those are all done between 2,000 and 3,000 feet. They're very, very low crossings. The Donner Pass is absolutely extreme. So here are Colfax, California people doing their California thing in the California sun. This is where you will have, this is the eastern end of snow staging, wildfire equipment staging, and helpers. Although I think most helpers could tie on at Roseville because you're pretty much done a lot of the grades right now. Here we have the American River Gorge. This is one of the party pieces on the Zephyr. Before you get to Reno, they tell everyone to go and look on the south side of the train at this one. At this point in time, it's interesting because this entire line was effectively built as two single-track railroads. While they are together for portions of it, it was effectively an original single-track line, and then they built a second single-track line on a slightly different profile. So they'll have different mixes of grades and tunnels, and often they will run apart from each other, but in these northern bits, they tend to run together. At the time, this was still run under ABS 251. Sometimes the tracks are in the proper orientation, sometimes reversed because they cross over. So as an ABS 251 line, here we have a trailing point crossover. Looks like you could also stash a locomotive or something in the middle there. Here's the end of the balloon track. One thing to notice here are the amounts of snow protection. Even here, you have all of the points and rotting are covered by sheet metal to allow people to get out and walk around. It looks like there's a lot of that might also be used for warming devices. They might have electric heaters. The Cascade, despite California's current drought, the Cascade Range again creates a moisture barrier that by raising the warm coastal air, moist coastal air. In winter, it tends to drop everything out here, which can lead to very extreme snowfalls. Even more extreme than the Pacific Northwest, because the Pacific Northwest, although it gets more precipitation, it's warmer, so it doesn't quite get as much snow. As you saw, the Cascade Tunnel was topping out at 2,000 feet. Even if there's this is at 4,000 or 5,000 feet, which definitely increases the amount of lowers the temperatures. So this is one end. This is the western end of the balloon track, and here's the eastern end. I'm not sure if this was interlocked after they did the CTC project, but at least under the ABS 251 system, it was a hand throw trailing point crossover. Here we have evidence of an old snowshed. And current evidence of a new snowshed. The Donner Pass gets such extreme snow that once you pass what they call Switch 9, which is located where the railroads start. So there's your balloon track. It's doing a whole bunch of squiggles. Let me get on some terrain here. So there's your American River Gorge. As you're coming up on this side of I-80, there's your balloon track. And then you cross under I-80, and there it uses I-80 as I call it a covered interlocking. It uses the I-80 bridge to put interlocking, so they don't have to worry about snow protection, heaters, etc. It's just undercover. And for some reason, it goes from almost all two-track to a single-track segment. I don't know why. It was built two-track. I don't know why it was reduced to a single track. Probably a Southern Pacific thing. But you can see where the other alignment was. In this case, they kept it under the... a lot of it is where one track will avoid... The original 1890s alignment will have avoided a tunnel. And then when the Southern Pacific built the second track, they put that in a tunnel just because they couldn't extend the hill out. Let's see here. What is this? What is this? This is oh, went way past it. Nope, just one of the bridges. I'm not even sure this is a waterway. Here we have again. We're now back to a double track. The interlocking is called Shed 10, and it goes from one track to two track in this highly reinforced concrete snow shed. At the time, they still had this beautiful searchlit signal bridge. I forget it. Some of them are still there, but a bunch of them were turned into Darth Vader's. I forget what they did with this one. Again, we can see an old alignment versus a new alignment. Hold on, let me find Shed 10 here. Tunnel, 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 snow shed. 1 second. There's Shed 10 interlocking. And somewhere in here, you could see where the original alignment was. Not entirely. There it is. Yeah, so like right there. Wait, that's a currently active tunnel. But I think right here there was a tunnel that they bypassed. Not entirely sure where this picture is. But there is a former alignment on the around the bump out, which looks like it should be right in there. This is Norton. This is the summit, or right abouts. Again, you have this very elaborate covered interlocking. What makes this very special is this is the end of what used to be. Hold on. Oh, sorry. That's where that alignment change was. It's quite a bit farther down. Yeah, there was an old tunnel there. But they were able to put both tracks around the outside of it. And finally we get to Norton, which is right past the summit. I think we're on the downslope right now. So here we have the famous West Norton covered interlocking. Again, there's not even a snow shed. It's just they built an entire concrete thing around it. The interesting part is this is where the two alignments used to split. You had track 1 and track 2. Track 1 was the 1890 track. Track 2 was built in around, again, I think this when they built the long, what they call the big hole, like a mile-long tunnel, which is right there, the Donner Pass Tunnel number 41. Tunnel 41, the big hole, 10,000 feet long, opened completion of track 2 in 1925. So when Union Pacific bought the Southern Pacific in the 90s, that's when they decided that they did not need that second main track. West Norton lost a lot of its reason for being, but it's still there, and Union Pacific still owns the right-of-way if they wanted to restore it. So here's the crazy quilt Norton Interlocking. I'm pretty sure that the searchlights are still there. And that's where that follows the more traditional Donner Pass route in the original short tunnel, tunnel number 6. You can get right up and close to that. It's right off of I-80. It's right near where you can see all the famous Donner Pass overlooks are. And there's the famous Chinese wall, right, one of these right there. That's the hand-fitted stone wall, retaining wall. Again, that was in use up through the 1990s, and it could, if they wanted to, they could reactivate it again if they so choose. Here's a different view, and you can see the. I didn't color it in as a dirt road. I should have, but where is that? So there's the old. You can see that they're sort of highlighted here. There's the new tunnel, and there's the old alignment. You can definitely see that the new alignment's substantially shorter. But regardless, here we are coming out of West Norton. There's the old track 1. Still has some. I think it's used for maintenance of waste storage, but it's just been waiting there since. I think these probably went in the 80s or something. We have a train that's nice enough to be waiting for us with BNSF power. And here we are. This is about where the actual summit is. It's 7,000 something feet. I sort of tried to calculate it where there's some ski stuff that goes overhead. And here we are. There's a ski slope. Snow in this period, less so in the others. I have other pictures where there's none. And we're back to 2 tracks here at Shed 47. I'm not sure how they did the counting. Again, searchlights are still present. And here's the famous Donner Lake, home of the Donner Party. And this just shows you that you can see the original alignment right there. It shows up sort of a road or on the train map, and it joins right around in there. Here's the new alignment. Go through the tunnel number 41, and then there's this super long horseshoe curve that gets you down the other side to Truckee. Horseshoe curves are exceedingly useful for getting up and down a lot of elevation. Yeah, so we're coming around here. We're cutting under that little ridge with these twin tunnels here. One of them is marked 1868. The other one, I think 1920 something 4 maybe. Just really neat to see an 1868 marked tunnel. Again, at the time, this is where you have the real these bidirectional 2-track searchlit signal bridges. They were a real party piece up here until they were replaced, and they actually reduced the number of blocks too. I don't know why, but they did. One thing I'll mention is the rotaries are used about once every 10 years. When there's sufficient snowfall that they're needed. The problem with the rotary plows is that as soon as Union Pacific decides to break them out, they have to use them for every other snowfall because they create these trenches, and you can no longer use a traditional plow because there's nowhere for the snow to go. So it's kind of like once you hit that emergency button, you're stuck with using rotaries for the rest of the year. That's why when rotaries happen, it's not it's not like a lot of times if it was just one snowstorm, people wouldn't be able to get their photographs. They wouldn't be able to get out in the snow. But when rotaries have to be used for the rest of the year, people will just show up for the rest of the year anytime a snow is forecast. The last time they were used was 2017. They're used about once a decade. We'll see what's going on with California's drought, though. Again, this is the apex of the curve. And the things are finished up at Truckee, pretty much. And here again, you can see all the snow equipment that's used for the regular Jordan spreaders that are used for regular snow service. You got 2 plows on either end of 2 Jeeps with the tunnel pantographs on them. So, any things in the chat here? Yeah, no, the PRR's one is definitely. We'll get to the PRR's Horseshoe Curve. Yeah. So, what is it? We'll get there in a second, but again, you'll see the difference between western and eastern grades. But this Donner Pass engineering is probably the one of the best. Okay, here we are. We are now moving across the country on the same train. What do you mean? What are they called? Flangers or flangers? Hold on. So, same train going a lot. So, on the, it's interesting how the Continental Divide up in Montana is way farther to the west than it is in Colorado. So we are going the Moffatt Tunnel, and we're going to be starting at Frasier Winter Park. Now that I have friends in Colorado, I've actually been on that side of the station. So the Moffatt Tunnel route, just to give you a thing, normally the previous route over the Rockies, the Central Rockies, the only one was the Tennessee Pass line. Now, I've been to the Tennessee Pass. It's the highest. It's out of service because it was sort of used as a backup. And it's almost. I think it's one of the highest railroads in the world, except for possibly that stuff China built in Tibet, up at 10,000 feet over the Tennessee Pass line. This is the main standard gauge line for the DRG&W between Colorado and Ogden, Utah, or Salt Lake, or whatever you want to call it. The problem is that if you live in Denver, the main population center, you have to travel an hour or two south to Pueblo before you can start making your journey west, and you still have to go back 2 hours up to where you're over the pass, and then you can follow the Colorado River going west. In the 1920s, this was unacceptable, and in a bid to both shorten this route and get water, a new route was formed going on a river and then via a 6-mile tunnel underneath the Continental Divide, the Moffatt Tunnel. I believe it's named by Doctor Who's showrunner Stephen Moffat, who was involved in a lot of time travel antics for inspiration for the show, but I can't confirm that. And anyway, we're starting here at Frasier. It's normally known as Frasier Winter Park. That's just simply because it's the grade on this is mostly on the eastern side. So a lot of these we've been seeing where most of the hullabaloo is on the west, and then on the east the show is over. Frasier reverses that, where on the west there's not a lot of stuff going on, and it's definitely on the east. I had some stuff here. I did have some videos to do, but two of them were on the Cascade Tunnel, and the other one was the Moffatt. So we'll hit those Cascade Tunnel ones last. Winter Park's really nice. This station is nicer than you think. In fact, I just noticed that they painted this really amazing Amtrak-y California door art. It's not there. It's not on this station in 2011, when was this station? 2014? No, this would have been me modifying it for my thing. But it's there today. A lot of good breweries opening up there too. Here we have the grade profile. As you can see, there's not really much on the west, but you're still going up at a 2%, 3% grade all the way from Frasier, or 2.27 to the summit. Note, tunnels don't like to have the summit in the middle of the tunnel. That's really bad for exhaust. They want to have one end be higher than the other. There are some tunnels that have issues with the high point being in the middle, and they often have to install auxiliary ventilation. Another thing you might want to notice is if you remember the Donner Pass tunnel peaked out at about 7,700 feet. Here we are at Frasier starting at about 8,000 feet. So, sorry, it's the ability for these mountain passes compared to the rest of the world is absolutely bonkers. That we have a main line going up to 9,000 feet. Now, one interesting thing, though, is that the Moffatt Tunnel route today is really not much of a major main line. After the SP DRDW UP merger, the UP was just like, this Moffatt Tunnel thing is stupid. Let's just run as much as we can on our overland route over Sherman Hill, which currently does not see Amtrak service. I would love to get pictures on the Sherman Hill grade, but I can't really. That happens occasionally, but I've been able to get out to it. So while yes, this is kind of a one-way line, Amtrak is effectively the only train that runs between Helper, Utah, and Grand Junction. There's a couple of road freights, but not many. That's why it's actually PTC exempt. There's so little extra traffic on it. But this is kind of a one-way line. This is why Union Pacific is kind of cool with Amtrak running ski trains and stuff to Moab, because they really don't run a lot. Coal traffic's declining, and Grand Junction is just a couple of road freights a day. But what's fascinating is just the drop on the other side, because you're going from 9,000 feet down to 5 to get down to Colorado in a hurry. You're getting down there in 50 miles. I think that's what. Yeah. You go from 9,000 feet to 5,000 feet in 50 miles, and you're going to see a grade. It's 2.2, 2.0, 2.3, 2.9, 2.5, 3.57, 2.6, etc. And it's not even 50 miles because you're going to be at that ground level at mile 5, so it's more like 45 miles, give or take. That's just crazy. Here we are seeing there's a lot of it. When you hear these things called winter park, it doesn't mean like a snow park. Parks are these mountain valleys, and you can see as you come up on Frasier, there's actually a really long section of like 70 mile an hour running. After you go through this little tiny canyon, you bust through Tabernash, and then you're able to go 70 miles an hour for like 6 miles to Frasier, and then you go a lot slower. There's your Moffatt Tunnel right there. There are no midpoint vents. It's a door system, and I believe it sucks, as in the Cascade Tunnel blows. I don't know if it vents ahead of the train. I don't think it did. I think it vented after, and it sucks everything out. But that would mean... I think it depends if it's passenger or freight, too. Normally, you want to blow against it, to push it backwards. I don't know if they try to suck it forward, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, that's right. It used to, the winter park people don't want diesel exhaust, so they complained. So that's why they changed it to a suction ventilation system. Here we are coming out of Frasier. It's now in this case you see it's searchlights, but again, these have been replaced. And these are DRG and W ones with the concrete bases were painted black. In 2012, yes, if this is 2012, they still had a number of Southern Pacific painted GE units rolling around. Here we are at the Winter Park. This now is an actual station where they run the ski train. I don't know why that berm is there. I heard it's due to something with a derailment, but I'm not sure. This signal also has a dragging equipment detector or some sort of defect alarm for trains coming out. Also, they installed an anti-personnel scanning system to prevent people from sneaking into the tunnel, causing issues. All these long tunnels have a lot of safety measures, including crew survivability stuff, oxygen, breathing apparatuses, about every some number of feet. While the Cascade Tunnel, one of the major issues I forgot to mention was that its speed's only 25 miles an hour. The Moffatt Tunnel's speed is 40 miles an hour, which makes it much less of a bottleneck if this route actually had the traffic to justify that. I do have a video. Let me know if you can hear it. It's a cut of the train going into the thing here. Now, hold on. I'm going to pause this and ask people in the chat if you could hear that or not, because if you can, I'm going to unhook my microphone so you don't get feedback. Did you guys hear that when I played it? Hello? You there, chat people? Guess I put everybody to sleep. Okay, so I'm going to mute my microphone and just play the clip.
We don't want the diesel coming into the train. We're asking diesel sliding doors between cars. Thank you.
I'm just going to mention that I'm standing at the back of the train with my scanner and doing video at the same time, so that's why they're getting a track warrant from the dispatcher there. You can hear me taking pictures. So this is where the Winter Park Station currently is. There's a platform there and everything. No, you're not going to show a video of the entire darkness of the tunnel. It cuts. So this is where you're coming out, and there's a whole... you go through the vent plant. You can hear as you go past the vents and the door. And I've actually been out here on both sides of the tunnel in person to get videos of Amtrak, the Zephyr coming in and out in both directions. So it's pretty neat. All right, anyway, back to the slideshow. Thank you for watching there. So, as you can see, it's built between 1923 and 1927. It's actually owned by the city of Denver because there's a parallel water tunnel that delivers most of Denver's water from the other side of the Rocky Mountains. The vent plant has been completely rehabbed. I did a bunch of on my YouTube channel. You can see how the vents operate. There's actually it's that video is doing pretty well. I think I was one of the better people to put up Moffatt Tunnel vent plant operation videos with descriptions of how it works. It's not narrated, but you can just I just cut together a bunch of stuff outside the tunnel after Train 6 came out. Then they're showing the Rockies there. This is July, but there's plenty of snow. Coming down the front face, and definitely I want to show you guys. Do a quick Google terrain. So there's it's interesting, this part of the Rockies, that they really have this with it's called the Front Range, where it's just like the Allegheny front. You go from plains to mountains in a huge hurry. And here we have the Moffatt Tunnel route. It's the upper part isn't that crazy. You sort of come down this little stream, but here's where it starts getting nuts. It's just constant tunnels. I think there's something like 40-something tunnels. It's just peppered with them, and that's only the first part. So you just have lots of tunnels. It wasn't just one; it was a lot of them that they had to build, and there was not a lot of infrastructure up here either. And again, we have I've been to the Gross Reservoir. That's a nice. It's a sort of a park recreation area. They're actually that's what receives the water coming out of the Moffatt Tunnel for the city of Denver. They're planning to raise the water level by about 50 or something feet. They already have, it's about like a $100 million project or something. They've got approval for it, and they're going to put a whole extra level on that dam. Well, again, here we have Tunnel 21. This one was redone in 1945. And finally, usually often you're eating dinner at this point because the train gets in at 6 or 7, and you usually get dinner on the Zephyr before you arrive. So you're going to be in the dining car, and you'll start seeing as you come out. Other things to notice here is that I think that you can see where the railroad is, because there's like an extra special horseshoe curve that we go down here. So here you are, you break out over the Front Range, and as you go along here, you're heading down, but you get these beautiful views of the city, and you got this first traditional horseshoe curve, and you can see the grade here. You can see, I can see the slope in this picture of the tracks going up. There was a rail train on this at the time. One of the sidings, and again here is that with all the horseshoe curves, you can see what the drop is. I need to get out there. I think this is public land, but I'm not entirely sure. I got to figure out where to go and where to park and where to walk so you don't get shot. So not only do you have an initial horseshoe curve, you have this extra special like boot-shaped horseshoe. Yeah, the Big Ten curve. I temporarily forgot the name. I want to get out there, but I don't know the way to get shot way to get out there. but I'll get out there at some point. It's like a freaking curly Q, but I think it kind of looks like a boot. When you're going around it, it's not that. One of the most interesting things that the Rio Grande put a whole bunch of hoppers with dirt as a windbreak after a number of derailments due to wind. And here you can see where that rail train was and how much, it's definitely about 100 or so feet that needs to go to get up there. This is that rocky siding. Again, I've been out there manually because Rocky's right by the road. And here we are looking at the front range heading back. Where are we? Oh, hey, it's time for a quick break. Yep. So let's see what we got here. Let me close these windows. Close that window. Okay, Raton Pass. Wait, I think that's what this is. Oh, I'm just checking. Oh, that's right. The Raton Pass on the Sunset route is not where the Continental Divide is. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But you don't know, like, it doesn't really matter because you don't notice it. It's actually at 7,000 feet, and I think this is it. It's nothing. It's no drama at all. The grades are like 1%, less than 1%. You just sort of get up to 7,000 feet and you come back down again. But the real interesting bit is the what they call the chief route. And this is also explaining why the Southwest Chief is constantly in a state of like trying to get shut down. So here we are. This is going northern Arizona, northern or mid New Mexico, or sorry, no, it's not northern Arizona. It's middle Arizona. There's a lot more Arizona than you think there is. When you're thinking about Arizona, it's easy to think that Phoenix is in the middle of Arizona and the Grand Canyon is in the top of Arizona. You are kind of mistaken there. Phoenix is more like 1/3, and then the and then Flagstaff is sort of like 2/3, and then you have Grand Canyon, and then there's above Grand Canyon, which is even more. But it's just sort of hard to get to the Grand Canyon. So Tucson is the sunset route, not Tucson. Tucson, Phoenix, that's the sunset route. Flagstaff's your super chief route, Winslow, etc. And again, that's only about 2/3 of the way up the state. So your summit's going to be somewhere in there, over the Continental Divide, and no one cares. When you roll into New Mexico, what BNSF wants to do is keep going east via Amarillo. What the Santa Fe wanted to do was go north via Albuquerque and a variety of other stuff. Now, back in the day, the Santa Fe didn't care because this was a coal region, a coal and mining region. Most of that coal travels has dried up, and no one uses this route because the grades are so bad. Let me see if I can zoom in here for you. So here we are. There's Santa Fe, and here's the Raton Pass route in this northern New Mexico. You got volcano fields, you've got Philmont Scout Reservation, all sorts of stuff. Doesn't look that bad, but there's your Raton Pass up there. And there's a second. It's like a double whammy because you have an initial pass at Glorietta, down. There's Las Vegas, New Mexico, somewhere down there's Glorietta. So you have this route that's sort of like you're going from LA to Chicago, and you kind of do it in hard mode. When I say hard mode, what I mean is there's easy mode. Hard mode is 3% grades going east to go to Glorietta. Here we see the Glorietta Zone. It's not super exciting, but just be aware that you're hitting 3% grades. Here we have, it's following, I think, Interstate 25. Beautiful rock, I have to say. There's the summit is at the Glorietta, the old station building that's now a post office. Coming down, there's a siding there. It's not a lot of whatever, but you can see these old signals that they're just BNSF wants to put no investment in this line, because they don't run any freights on it. Fortunately, because we're only running 2 passenger trains a day, it doesn't take much wear and tear, but at a certain point you do have to do upgrade. You do have to replace stuff. This is also the route with the semaphores. Again, no one wants to invest in it. And the reason, even more so, the Raton Pass grades of 2.23, 2.3.3%, 3.5% westbound. This is just an extreme grade. In fact, if you read through the timetable, it's one of those things with the employee timetables talking about retainers. If you don't know what retainers are, they're this really annoying brake thing where this trick with freight train brakes, where the brakes are set. You have to go and manually set them to never fully exhaust, so you always have braking force because the grades are so bad. This is why BNSF does not want to keep this line, and if it wasn't for the chief, they would have abandoned it or sold it to a short line, or it'd be a rail trail. It doesn't look like much. It just sort of starts at Raton and goes up and over to Trinidad. And the peak of the grade is right on that Colorado-New Mexico border. Here we are coming down. Again, there's no real crazy horseshoe curves. It's just sort of up and down. Here we are at Raton, New Mexico. This was, because of its elevation and it's the middle of the summer, you can feel the sun burning you. There is not enough air to stop that UV radiation, and you get out of the train. It's a dry heat, but it's a lot of UV, and it's just giving you a burn. Station at Raton, very pretty. This was, again, the Southwest Chief route was the premier route between Chicago and LA. I believe the ATSF was the only railroad that had a full route in the heyday period. I don't think that UP. I think they got in there, but I don't know how, because the CNW was independent. The CBQ and the DRGW had to team up to get a train to Santa Fe, or not Santa Fe, to San Francisco. I think the Union Pacific had a way in, but I forget what it was. But I'm not sure. I think they had to go in on like the CNEI, like some weird trackage rights or something. Maybe someone in the chat can mention if the Union, because I was looking this up recently and I was like, oh, that's how the UP got in. But I forget. The ATSF had a 2-track main line all the way from Chicago to LA, and it was really the fastest, premierest route for rich people to go from New York to Chicago to LA. Coming out, speeds are halfway recent, 40 miles an hour, at least here. Amtrak was really lucky in that what used to be ATSF put a lot of money in this line right before they decided to pull all the freight off it. I don't know. I think it was in the late 90s. So there are a bunch of interlockings that have refurbished searchlight signals that were re-interlocked. This line is PTC exempt, by the way. Also, kudos to New Mexico Department of Transportation and how they paint their bridges. Super on point. Also, these beautiful station signs in the ATSF style, only large. Again, rails are shiny. There's so little moisture up here that it looks like there's a lot of stuff that uses it, but really it's only these 2 trains, one a day. Coming on the single track here, not a lot of drama. There are some Darth Vader stuff, but not all. Here we go. So one thing they still have here, the Santa Fe had these signs that they put in the 1950s advertising that this is the highest point on the Santa Fe. It's not only the highest point on this route, it is the highest point on the Santa Fe. They have a number of stuff, and I believe these are original. And again, it's this is why all the classic cars are in Arizona and New Mexico and Southern California. You just don't have the rain, you don't have the salt, you don't have, this stuff just lasts forever out there. And again, here we have the this sign is sort of located past this point, or it's on the other side. I'm not sure. But this is there's your New Mexico, Colorado, and here's the tunnel that goes under the pass. There was provisions for a second track, but it does appear to have been removed. There might have also been a clearance project at the time, so that was maybe a less cleared tunnel. That was 1914 and a 1916 tunnel. Again, here we can see it better at Raton Tunnel. I think this one was on the west side of the tunnel, and this is on the east. Raton Tunnel, highest point of the Santa Fe, 7,588 feet elevation. Again, that's pretty significant there. It's right up there with the Donner Pass. And this is like the second time the trains had to climb up here. So it goes over the Southwest Chief will hit 7,000 feet at the Continental Divide that you showed you first. It hits 7,000 feet again at Glorietta. Then it hits it for a third time here at Raton. This is a very inefficient route. Again, this is where you would have had helper related stuff here in the sort of bulge out. But you do have this really nice. There is one nice curve coming out, and here I have a picture of not only the locomotives. There's one more Santa Fe sign. There's a road up there. Maybe we can see it from the road. So it would be in there somewhere. Let's see if we can see it. There it is. So yeah, it's still there. Now it's hidden. There it is. Something in the old Santa Fe Trail. It's just more Santa Fe advertising, but it's pretty crazy that that stuff's all still up there. Coming around, nice mesas, buttes, whatever those are. This also has those sort of snow-proofed. These are classic Santa Fe cantilevers that have been upgraded with the snow ladders. Don't know when that happened. I don't know how much snow comes up here. But again, it was right after they put this investment in that that the merger happened, and they just sort of called the plug. This was used as a backup route for congestion on the Southern Transcom, but I think with the whole BNSF merger and trackage rights, that they were able to find other alternatives to this. And it's retainers. Again, another snow-proofed ATSF cantilever. These are using USNS H5 searchlights. At the time in 2011, at Trinidad is where the coal started. I don't know if those mines are still active or not. A lot of, just with the decrease in coal. When I say approaching Trinidad, whoops, that's the wrong one there. And this is actually, the eastern side is where we actually have the double track. So it's sort of double track all the way down that 3.5% grade area. And finally, at Jansen Interlocking is where the coal stuff comes back in. I still see coal, but I don't know if they're producing or not. It looks like there's a huge grain elevator, but a lot of that could have been zapped with the declining coal production. That coal pile did not look super healthy right there. That's the Trinidad station. I'm trying to find that location to see if I can peek on that coal pile. Yeah, there it is. Let's see if I can take a look on that. Whoops. Yeah, that looks really defunct. Can I see that? Nah, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, that's whatever. And here's at the time, again, there was a lot of like on again, off again, are they going to kill the train thing in 2011 or 2013, etc. But they'd put a nice new station platform here at Trinidad. And again, searchlights. This is the end of ATS, but apparently the ATS was not in service. I'm not sure if these things fail safe, so I'm not sure if if it was not in service in that it still worked, but they didn't care if you weren't, it wasn't officially on. Amtrak trains on this route at the time did have to have ATS equipped, so I don't know if they would cut it out or just ignore it. I mean, like if there was a failure, they wouldn't bother to call it in. All right, we're finally done with the west. We can move on to the east. We're about a little more than halfway through the presentation. We're like 2/3. The speed part, when the Raton Pass stinks, it's got a lot of fast parts on it. It's a good 80-mile-an-hour line, except for the 2 grades. And then when you hit Colorado and go across Kentucky, Kansas, it's flat and straight, and it used to be good for 90 miles an hour up until like the early 2000s. It's sort of a trade-off. Albuquerque is a really good market, and you get a lot more support from New Mexico, Kansas, and Colorado's congressional delegations. So there is justification for using that route. I'll show you sort of where it goes. So you're going north. So once you clear Trinidad, you're good to go. First off, I got to see where I'm going here. Yeah, you're going to La Junta. So you're not going straight north. This whole area and this is flat, and it's just plains. See? So you've got this little grades area between Raton and Trinidad is where you just go over some mountains. From Raton all the way down to the Glorietta, Las Vegas. Again, it's a lot of plains, very flat, scenic, but you do get very good high speeds on there. So it's like 80 miles an hour to Raton, then you go 40 over the mountain, then it's 80 miles an hour to La Junta. I said this was ATS. You just shoot right across Kansas. It's flat as a pancake. Serves a whole bunch of towns that don't have a lot of service. The alternative is sort of there's not a lot there. You might say, oh, there's not a lot on any of these places, but like there's really not a lot of people in East Texas. The only place of any note that it goes through, I think, is Amarillo. These Google Maps are way harder to read these days. Oh, it's sort of hard to track where it goes through. Does it even go through there? Oh, yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah, you go through Amarillo, and it pops up here somewhere, like Wichita. Anyway. So we are cutting to we're now from going north to south, we're going south to north with the B&O Allegheny Summit. Where is this located? There it is. Allegheny Summit, where do I have this start? Ron Survey, I can't pronounce that very well. So anyway, you come out of the valleys, White Sulphur Springs, up and over the final climb, and then you sort of come down the desiccated plateau of the Allegheny Front, and you get yourself into Clifton Forge. Again, it's East Coast stuff as you follow a river until you can't, and you muscle yourself right over the top until you get to another river. This is not an Amtrak station. It's a former something used to stop there, probably like that hilltopper or whatever. This route is, even though it did get re-signaled and redone with the PTC around the 2012 timeline, this C&O coal route has really been decimated by the lack of coal traffic. So we'll see what comes of it. Old C&O coaling tower there. When I was on this, we still had the C&O signal, so that's nice. Here at Whitcomb Interlocking. Now you said we've sort of come up, and this is interesting. So this really nice yellow rock coming up over the C&O over the summit here. White Sulphur Springs had a lot, and probably still to a degree has a lot of infrastructure. This would support the Greenbrier, owned by the C&O. Amtrak used to run excursions here before they got excursion averse. A lot of support for private cars at White Sulphur Springs. A lot of rail fans would turn out for it. Still, again, this is the Cardinal. It's only 3 days a week. Coming out of the tunnel at White Sulphur. Again, classic CNO cantilevers. Again, these are all gone. Note also the pole line was still in place when I got to ride this. This is a 2012 photo. I was hoping to catch the dome car. Dome was not running, but I was able to. They gave me. I got vestibule privilege, which was nice. Finally, you come around. This is Tuckahoe Interlocking, and this is where you're going to be going hitting the Summit Tunnel, and you get a nice sign, Allegheny Summit. 2,078 feet, 2 separate bores for clearance purposes, and I think this signal, this old school one, is still there doing something. I'm not sure what. It's always tough to get a good picture of this sign, too. There's always a lot of clutter in the way. Everybody knows Tower A at the summit probably was used for helper services. It's been abandoned for some time. I definitely got to get up there before it burns down or something, but I'm never in this area. It's really far out of the way. I got some really interesting stories of this area of Virginia and West Virginia. It's just sort of abandoned. Everything coming up on the west side is double track, but it immediately goes to single. Part of it is this Lewis Tunnel. I think there's a second bore, but they've abandoned it. So there's your, hold on. There we go. So there's your Greenbrier, right there. There's your 2-track Summit Tunnel right there. There's the Allegheny Summit. Then it goes to single track, right there at, East Allegheny. I feel like there's definitely has to be a second bore, because no way, that would have been a singleton. But you just can't really quite see it. Let me look on the terrain map. Nah, you can't quite see if this... Oh, yeah, there's the second tunnel. I think you can see one and a second one that comes out there. But I didn't get a good photo of the portal. All these, again, supported 2 tracks here. So as you go along this desiccated plateau, you're just sort of cutting off these little, like, fingers of erosion through little tunnels. Finally here at OX Cabin, you're back to 2 tracks through an equilateral 40-mile-an-hour switch. Coal trains, and you're coming down into Clifton Forge. No stop there, just station buildings. Got some nice, again, CSX traffic there. You got a GP30 road slug, it looks like. And this is the end of the CNO grade. Oops. If anyone has any comments on that one. All right. Oh, that's right. I don't have stuff for this, or do I? No, I didn't get one of this one. All right, sorry about that. Not sure why I didn't get one. So the B&O going to the north. Where are we? So your CNO is sort of middle South Virginia, West Virginia, right there. Your B&O, what is known as the Sand Patch grade, is on the route from Pittsburgh to Cumberland, Maryland, via this sort of weird route. You can say it starts in Connellsville, but you're still hitting it's curvy, but you're still on the streams. Where it really starts picking up is Rockwood, Pennsylvania. For the longest time, this is where the position lights would restart after their initial resignaling attempts around the year 2000. There was a station house, and right there was the power. They had railroad power, and that's where the railroad power tap was from the utility main. Mainly the B&O and the N&W, a lot of railroads, they had pole line power, but they're these little chintzy 400-volt things. The N&W and the B&O would have their own 3-phase medium voltage systems to supply their signaling and other stuff. And that was located right there, but I think by this point, the signaling had totally been replaced. I think this is an Allegheny a Monongahela River tributary. I think it's the Yogahaganey or something. Let me see what it says on Google Terrain. Oh, no, it's the Castleman River at this point. All right. Anyway, back to the thing. This is the old Western Maryland. It's been converted into a bike trail. You can see the viaduct there. Not sure where that is. Oh, there's wait, where is that? Yeah, whatever. So this is, what am I trying to go through here? So here at Garrett, you go through Myersdale, and then the the summit is somewhere in this area here. There's Hind. So the summit's somewhere in there. I don't know exactly how they do it, but that's where you cross the watersheds. It's either there or there, but anyway. Here's Myersdale. Again, another good CSX has preserved a number of stations for maintenance and way use. Again, another Western Maryland bicycle crossing, bike trail crossing. And finally, we're coming up to the crest of the Sand Patch Grade. Nice. You get some good view of the wind turbines. Dump track. They were doing a double stack clearance project with tunnel notching, and that's the tunnel notching machine right there. Allegheny Summit, 2,258 feet, so 200 feet higher. This is the old SA Tower, or I think it's SA Tower, Sand Patch Tower. It was active until the early 2000s when it was closed, when they did an initial resignaling job. This is a helper pocket. You can see that helper units can hang out in that little part right there. This is a little trick you can do on some of the trains where you can stick out and get a picture, and get yourself a picture. And there's the end of the helper pocket. This is 2 different days, though. These are not the same day. So day 1, there's a train right there. This is a separate train where I was able to do this side window Amtrak shot. Entering the new, what I call I call these chessified. They put the chessie cat ears on the tunnels as we go in next to the coal train. And again, here we see the Sand Patch Tunnel in the midst of chessification. It's actually a brick lining, even though these are the 1930s concrete sort of things they put on them, but it's actually still a lot of brick on the inside. Again, same Sand Patch Tunnel with a 7800 series, so that's got to be a -8, I think, coming up. A lot of traffic on this route compared to some of the western ones. But again, a lot of these thumbs are about 10 years ago when coal traffic hadn't dropped more precipitously. Most CSX went early for AC, unlike NS. So again, here's just another AC 4400. Coming down to Hindman, you get a little bit of speed at places. The Falls Cut Tunnel, again, you can see the where they're going to actually do the notching for more chessie ears. This was resignaled pretty early, around 2000. But while it was resignaled, they removed the position light. They replaced the signals, as in they replaced bidirectional B&O CPLs with bidirectional Darth Vaders. They still have the grade markers, which are no longer really used. The small little relay hut for basic track circuits. By this point, they're actually going to be putting in new signals for the PTC type system. Again, signal system doesn't change, but again, they got to change. They got to touch it, so they might as well put in new. Chessie Caboose, C&O. Ironically, I think this is at Hindman. I don't know why these are C&O and not B&O marked. Someone didn't do their research there. Or bought the wrong things. And we're finally on our last one for coming up for Horseshoe Curve, and I think we're going to do this one going eastbound. Everything else has been westbound, so this is the only one I'm doing eastbound. I usually do all my trips eastbound. So this is westbound. Everything else has been eastbound because I did my cross-country trips west to east. You fly out, and then you come back. You don't have to worry about if your train's late, missing a flight, or baggage issues, or carry-ons, etc. Here's the one that everybody in the east should be familiar with. The PRR route is quite fascinating. Not just the Horseshoe Curve, but everything around it. Especially seeing it's probably, I think, the only 4-track mega grade that we're covering here. Starting at Altoona, ending either Crescent or Johnstown, depending on how you count it. If you want to go for some Google terrain, again, the PRR is able to follow a river, despite all of this little, hill and valley. It's able to cut through along the Juniata Valley until it gets to the Allegheny front. And then it's just got to muscle its way through, in this case with the help of a horseshoe curve. But there's a lot of a lot of upwards before you get to that point. And if you're in there, you can really see how it rises in elevation. Here we are at the Altoona Amtrak station before the closure of Alto Tower. This is where it goes from 2 tracks to 3 tracks. The post-PRR Conrail configuration was a single bidirectional track and 2 single-direction tracks on the outside. Most trains would come up, take this medium clear. They're going to go over to track 3 there. Track 3 is the one close to the tower. Track 2, track 1. Another picture before the closure of Alto with the nickel plate heritage line roofing right after it was released in brand new paint, ready to go up the grade. Here we are from the back of an Amtrak train, seeing the old Alto interlocking coming outbound behind us. This was designed for for traffic going into Altoona Yard, especially helpers. There's a helper pocket right there. There actually used to be 2 helper pockets. Where was the second one? I think it was in there. Whatever it was, there were originally 2 helper pockets. You could stash 2 helpers in there. I think you could also stash one like there. So a train would go here. You could actually, you could stash one like there and there, but there was a second helper pocket. I sort of forgot where it is. They simplified it slightly in the early 80s. Slope interlocking. There used to be a tower here. It's still. This has all been combined into CP Altoona. There is a helper pocket at CP Altoona over, like they're building it right there, but I'm not sure how much it's used as much. But it is still a manned helper district, even with some distributed power making an appearance. Again, you can see the up. It's a little hard to see, but you can definitely see the upslope here in that 1 to 2% grade. Again, there's the new signals for CP Altoona. Here's a train coming down, a double-stack train breaking down the hill. For a lot of these grades, remember, braking force is almost as important as getting it up there, especially on Horseshoe. Here we have the Bennett Levin E8 special going up bidirectional track 2 at Brickyard. This is known as the Brickyard Signal. It's been removed, but it's still a location. This is the distant signal to Altoona. This was when Alto got closed. This was replaced, but the other ones were still intact for a few more years until like 2018. Again, same train with the Bennett Levitt private cars at the end. I've seen Amtrak trains to Pennsylvania come down and arrive at Altoona Station with the brakes on fire. I know that there's a lot of crazy grades and stuff, but I don't know what it is about the Horseshoe Curve, but I literally saw underneath the disc brakes on the Am fleets were on fire. I think it's because the speed on this might be a little bit higher. I'm not sure. This is one of the other ones that were replaced. These were replaced first because they were falling down, and then Brickyard was replaced, and then the ones over the curve. These were 1 mile spaced. This is 239. So Brickyard's 238. This is 239. Milepost 240. Here we are coming over the curve, and this again you can see that elevation change. I do like that Horseshoe Curve Park. I hate that $8 admission or whatever they're charging, but it is nice, especially since they've cut down the trees. You can really see how those trains are getting pushed up the hill, especially when they have a manned helper on them. This is the signal that used to be at the apex of the curve. I mean, honestly, they did put in a replacement for a while, and then they removed everything for 562 operation. But again, it's one of those things that you wonder if that some preservation group could have just badgered NS to keep this here at the curve, or the state of PA, like, hey, you want your money, your grant money, leave some signals up. View of it's all, again, like a lot of these things, they're involved with water supply. Here's a view of people at the park. That's been repainted with Pennsylvania on it. Number 7048 GP9. That used to be a K4 for a while. The best views, I think, probably are in winter, but they have cut down a lot of the brush. There's where the old signal placement used to be. You've all seen this. Here's just some of my own stuff out the back. The old MG Tower, they were planning to knock it down, but then something happened. I think they just sort of ran out of, like, gas. There was asbestos or something. The windows are all off, and it's kind of been re-gutted. Unfortunately, the staircase was external, so there's no way to get to that upper floor. MG Tower and Interlocking were built in the middle of World War II as a capacity expansion project. I think in 1944. You can see the post-war signal bridges. Lots of curves on it. That's kind of good to help you slow you down. A random color light signal that was installed by Conrail with an approaching eastbound NS train. This is where the old Horseshoe Curve would plug in. The PRR used to have a second backup curve that no one ever talks about. Here you can see it in the form of this little brown line. The whole tunnel complex would have interlockings here where the Horseshoe Curve would plug in. That would actually follow some of the route of the original Portage Railroad. That would come down south to Hollidaysburg, and then would follow. In theory, you could get there via Altoona if you kept going south along the valley, and then you could go up around. But a lot of trains would take the Spruce Creek route. I don't know exactly how they would split their traffic, but it was there. But eventually, it was just one of those unnecessary lines. Here we are under the new Allegheny Tunnel. Up through 1994, there were there was 3 tracks. There are 3 tracks. Each tunnel had a single track. In 94, they enlarged the Allegheny Tunnel for double stack clearance, and they closed the Portage Tunnel. There's your Portage Tunnel. It has since been bricked up with cinder blocks, so people can't get into it anymore. Gallitzin is the high point of the Pensy. I need to find a... Hold on. But my note computer here has shut down. I haven't been using my notes in a while. The tunnels are 3,000 feet long, and it dumps you out at an elevation of 2,167 feet. It's a little lower than the Baltimore and Ohio grade at the Sand Patch, about 100 feet higher than the C&O, on par with Cascade. Way lower than everything else, but also compares very well to what you see in Europe. I believe that the tunnels, like the old Gothard, not the base tunnel, but like the old Gothard Swiss Alp one, only gets you up to something in the 3,000 foot range. UN interlocking back before it was resignaled, or they had some new signals, but it hadn't been resignaled yet. There's a loop track for helpers that's still in place. Used to be 2 loops for helpers. Today it's just 1, still there. Looks like it's used. Don't know what uses it, but something does. They'll also turn excursion trains that run out of Altoona on that loop track. Coming down, I only showed you one part of the grade here because there is a higher line. That's track 1 that goes through the old new Portage Tunnel that was used by the Canal Railroad that originally operated for a few years. I think that that specific track has like a 3-something% grade on it right here, but they just don't run any westbound trains up track 1. That's why the whole not being bidirectional wasn't really a problem. Today, in theory, you could go bidirect. You could run reverse on it. Maybe Amtrak has at some point, but I don't know what has or does. But you can see again that's going to go up to a little bit higher level. It's the loop track goes over to that other track 1. And here, as they finally come back together, there's a famous signal bridge there that I did get photos of on these 2 tracks. Again, we're looking at track 3, 2, 1. There's like track 0, and then there's like a siding. So this is in the original configuration too. So this has always been 5 tracks, 4 for regular, and then like a controlled siding. At Crescent, this all comes back together. There used to be a tower here. They tried to preserve it, but it fell down. It was again resignaled it was partly resignaled when the tower was closed, and then it was resignaled again in 2018. So the tower closed in 2004. This was the last paper dispatch part of Conrail. You had Alto Tower, MG Tower, MO Tower at Crescent, then C Tower at SO Tower at South Fork, and then C Tower at Conema. They closed those middle ones, SO, MG, and MO. And then in 1994, 95, and then finally they closed Alto in 2012 and C Tower in 2003. But this is also where the one of the helper bases is. There's a helper base at Johnstown, there's a helper base at Altoona, and there's a helper base here at Crescent. And that's what these what helpers would cut off on the fly, and they could either go refuel at this base or they could go around the loop, go back to Altoona. So one interesting thing is as soon as you come around this curve right back there, you've gone from about a 45-mile-an-hour crawl, and then the train you're just spit it right out at 70 miles an hour. I have a rear view on that as we were overtaking another train, and you just start flying around. You get up 70, 75, 80. It's really interesting about you do all this stuff to get up the Allegheny front, and then the PRR, in their infinite wisdom, they just graded the heck out of the west slope. So right around that curve, and boom, you're on a tangent track, off to the races, all the way down to the curve at SO Tower, where you get into a little bit more of a valley there. See, you sort of get into a river valley, but this whole thing, they just cut straight across it to get maximum speed, and they've done a great job. Here's the famous Cassandra Cut, where your rail fan, I'm not sure that that's the rail fan watching a bridge. I think it is, with the slide fence. They're the famous Johnson Road signals. Those are gone. Here we have a helper set. The NS prefers to use 3300 series. Former SD50s have been re-engined as SD40, or downrated as SD40Es. Someone in the area also loved to keep sibling units together. So here we have 3338 and 3337, or wait, no, it's 3374. Never mind. I have seen a lot of sibling units here. This picture is taken about a little bit right after SO Tower burned down. I think I passed it one year in the dark, about a day after, or within the week it died, and then I came back a year later and there was still a pile of debris. Again, SO was re-signaled in the 90s and then re-signaled. Here's a picture of SO Tower as it stood right a few years in 2006. It burned down in 2008. Here's a double helper pack helping a coal train, one with a Conrail unit that I caught. Again, 3300 series SD40Es, plus what is probably a Conrail SD40, and a legit SD40. The SD40Es have the SD50 cooling systems. I think these are former SD50s, but I'm not entirely sure at this point. They might be something different. You know, I have the roster. Oh, and I closed it. Never mind. And, oops. Hold on here. I think I'm at the end of the thing. Yeah, there you go. And finally, you hit the end of the thing at C Tower. It had been closed at this point, but then re-signaled in 2003. I think it still has the pneumatic point machines. Although I'm not 100% certain. Oops. Shoot. Okay, sorry. I'm at the end of my thing with just video clips left. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. I think I got in under the pretty much under the 2-hour limit there. If anyone wanted to see the Cascade Tunnel, thing, this is an older clip that I have.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, anyone holding a 7:30 dinner reservation, they have tables waiting for you in the dining car.
If you notice this, the Cascade Tunnel is much slower than the Moffatt. The lights in the tunnel are at the, every quarter mile you have a safety refuge with, like, breathing equipment. There you can hear the fan plant. And then you pop out of the tunnel portal. I think I had a crowd at the back of the train.
Where's the door?
Oh man, it's being really annoying. All right. And one last thing, I had another video clip of the tunnel operations real fast. This just shows how the door works. It closes. It starts blowing air at the train. Then the door opens. It's interesting that I think that the door will open within the train stopping distance. There is a spare door, but if the door doesn't open, the train's not going to be able to stop. And then the train comes out. So, anyway, if anyone has any questions, let me know. I just wanted to do this. I just wanted to go through this presentation. I had it ready. I never recorded it. And I figured that at least it'd be something nice to get up there. Not the most riveting thing, but it is pretty neat. And it's all accessible from the back of most Amtrak trains. Although not quite the CNO one, or the CNO one, they've now put a baggage car on the back of the Cardinal, so you can't really get photos of that one anymore. I wish I had grade profiles of the East Coast ones. I know you can get them. I just didn't have them for this presentation. Well, thank you very much. I don't know when I'll be back for my normal press stuff. Probably in 2 weeks. So anyway, I'll see you then. I'll try to figure something else out. But I've got a bunch of stuff to do. Everybody have a great day. If you have any questions, leave it in the chat. And thank you for spending some time with me. Oh, no, I mean, I know Saluta's there. I have a friend, kind of, who was offering to take me down there, but I got to get down to, I mean, the best thing for Saluta grade is to watch the NS instructional video. That's going to give you way better information than I can. And it's got really nice music and really southern people on it. So I highly recommend just search NS Saluta grade training video, and it's going to do a way better job than I can. It's a shame that, again, that line isn't used right now, but again, it was mainly only for coal. So we'll see how much, if our railroads can find better uses for their former coal routes, but they don't seem to be intent on drumming up a lot of business these days, so who knows. All right, everybody have a great day. Just throw me some questions if you have it. And if you missed any part of it, this will be up in a week or two. I don't know exactly when, but I got to get some videos up anyway, so I'll put this up as soon as I can. All right? Yeah, no, the training video was shot before it closed down. Yeah, it was shot in the mid-'80s. It was shot before, it wasn't even NS. It was a Southern training video. So, anyway, see ya later.